Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the break. I hope you had a great time and also visited our virtual booths and did some networking. And now my pleasure is to introduce you to the host of the next session. The next session will be on the burning topic of skilling, reskilling of the healthcare force. And it will be moderated by my colleague, Bledin Rees, the chair of Digital Health Society. You have already met Bledin, I'm sure, on several occasions and so also today. Bledin is deputy chair of the European Connected Health Alliance and chair of the Digital Health Society. And as you know already, both of those organizations are helping to transform health and care services internationally. Bledin also chairs the digital working group of All Policies for a Healthy Europe, a think tank set by Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, Philips, and Ronsdal, based in Brussels. He has a special interest in digital health, health data, and medtech. And yeah, Bledin will then run this important session. So I hand it to you, Bledin.
Carolina, thank you very much. And as she said, the next session is how can data guide the development of digital skills, workforce recruitment, retention, and resilience. So I'm going to quickly introduce the three panelists today. So the first is Sanna Rimpiläinen, and Dr. Sanna is a research and skills manager at the Digital Health and Care Innovation Institute, or Centre rather, in Scotland, and leads one of DHI's key strategic areas, skills and future workforce development. This work focuses on the development of future pipeline of talent to support the digital transformation of health and care services in Scotland, engaging a vast network of partners in schools, further and higher education. She also manages DHI's research and knowledge management team, and she has a PhD in education. The second panelist, Michelle Evans, is a senior lecturer at the University of Edinburgh, and she is the talent lead for the Health and Social Care Programme at the Usher Institute and director of the online MSc in Data Science for Health and Social Care. The talent component of the Health and Social Care Programme includes data science, enhancement of undergraduate medical degrees to a portfolio of master's degrees and the development of continuing professional development. Michelle has over 15 years of experience delivering clinical research, and she has an MSc in public health. And then the third speaker, Anett Ruszanov, I would like very much to thank, because she has stepped in at the last minute for the CEO of EHMA, who and sadly is ill. So George, if you are listening, I hope you get better soon. So Anett is the Policy and Programme Director at the European Health Management Association. She has more than 16 years professional experience in Brussels, and her expertise lies in stakeholder engagement, co-creation, event organizations, community management, moderating, producing evidence-based policy recommendations. She has a proven track record in regional research and innovation. So just to set the scene for this quick discussion, I think 20 years ago, I remember talking about and listening to inside the Department of Health when I was seconded about worldwide shortages of healthcare professionals. And in the last 20 years, it seems that around the world, we've done a pretty poor job at dealing with that challenge. However, the pandemic has just accentuated the problem, both in terms of morale, workload, stress, and well-being. So what sources of data are there that are relevant to this challenge? What data perhaps is missing? How reliable is the data that exists? And what new policy areas might emerge? These are just some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this panel. So without any further, I'm going to ask Sanna to start us off. Thank you.
Thank you, Bledin, for this great introduction. And let me just get my slides up. Are you able to see this?
Perfect.
Let me try and see if I can get it to a slideshow. Can you see this?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right. So, yeah, without further ado, then, given that we have such little time, so at the Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre, we look at the future pipeline of talent. What we want to do is to ensure that there is enough people feeding into the health and care, digital roles in health and care, and that the people who enter the sector are appropriately skilled, that there are enough suitable educational opportunities, both for digitally skilled health and care frontline workers, but also for people who are going to work in sort of digital roles within health and care. And to do that, we need to understand who the workforce are. So we talk about the frontline health and social care staff who use digital solutions to support the day-to-day delivery of care. We then have digital health and care sector professionals who we divide into the more technical professionals who design, develop, deliver, and implement digital solutions for use by health and social care services. And the third, not new, but newly important and fast expanding category of staff are specialist digital knowledge, information, and data roles in health and social care. And these specialist professionals are required to deal with the influx of data that is resulting from the digital transformation of ways of working. Pardon me, I went over too quickly. So what is the demand like for skills, digital skills? There is a really heated demand for digital skills and capabilities across the economy. In Scotland alone, there are 13,000 new digital job opportunities being created annually, but we only produce 5,000 homegrown graduates to meet that demand. 75% of Scottish tech companies are struggling to recruit qualified staff, and this means that the competition for talent with this type of skills is very heated. There is a study by Health Education England for delivering data-driven healthcare by 2030, and they project that there's going to be an overall increase by about 70% for the specialist digital data, knowledge, and information workforce. If you look at these statistics, the projected increase in need for clinical informaticians alone is going to be nearly 700%. IT and strategy staff are going to be needed by, the need for them is going to increase by nearly 325%. So if this is the kind of need in terms of the digital transformation of health and care, so what does the provision look like? We looked at the course provision across all Scottish further and higher education institutions in terms of the subjects that have the potential to support digital transformation of health and care, including ICT, computing and relevant STEM subjects, health and medicine courses, social care, design, business and leadership courses. And what we found out is that while obviously there is a great provision for health, medicine and social care courses available, only 5 across all higher education institutions, 5 courses were dedicated to digital health and care, and 2 in further education. And in higher education, these were all postgraduate courses. And doing spot checks into the course content where it was available, it shows that future health and care workforce is still being trained to work in the analog world, as in that they are not being prepared to work in a digitally enabled manner. In terms of computing, there's a really great range of high-end computing available in Scotland, all of which has the potential to support digital innovation in health and care. But this provision has a very low exposure to health and social care, with the exception of data science and informatics. Design, which is absolutely crucial for digitally transforming any sector, again, has a great number of different types of courses that could be used in the health and social care context, but there is just one course that is dedicated to health and care, and I'm happy to say that a second one is starting this autumn, and this is aimed at undergraduate students. And leadership, there are a number of courses available across higher and further education, but looking at these courses, it's not clear to what extent these will support the digital transformation of services. I should just maybe note that the NHS Scotland have a digitally enabled workforce programme where they're doing great work in digitally upskilling leadership and workforce at the moment as we speak, but it's only a year old and there's a lot of work to be done. So this is the kind of scene of how things are in Scotland. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Michelle, who can talk about what is being done to address this situation.
Thank you, Sanna. Michelle.
Can you see my screen okay? Sorry.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a black box.
Oh, again.
But it's at the top of the, okay. It's at the top of the screen, so I could, yeah.
Can you still see that now?
Yes, but it's, I can see most of the slides, so I think you can carry on.
Sorry about that. Okay, thanks very much, Sanna, for setting the scene, which leads nicely into the pressure really for me as an educationalist and education provider to help to really narrow the digital skills gap and upskill current and future health and care professionals. So I won't go over my introduction because Blethen's done that nicely for me, but how can I, as an education provider, contribute to keeping staff engaged and build resilience through education? And how can I create educational opportunities to empower health and care professionals to lead digital transformation, and even go so far as enabling them to reimagine digital solutions and new capabilities to transform health and care services and delivery? So my programme, sorry, this is an advancing. Sorry about that. My programme at the University of Edinburgh Talent Programme is supported by the Edinburgh City Region Deal, and we have over 600 million UK and Scottish Government investment to drive inclusive growth in the Edinburgh and South East Scotland region. So there's quite a lot of focus on data-driven and digital technologies to enable the workforce through different pillars, whether that be talent and education, entrepreneurship, research, and many other areas within our programme. So without any policy drivers, strategy and data would be really difficult for me to proceed to deliver any education and training opportunities. But if I had access to current and predicted workforce data, for example, data-driven workforce forecasting to inform the digital skills gap and the skills shortage, then my life as an education provider would be much easier. For example, demand planning, internal supply analysis, the use of predictive analytics in education, and a gap analysis and workforce action planning would be really, really helpful. But I've just focused on a few key areas that do make my life difficult, or our lives difficult as education providers. I would be well equipped in learning, the development needs which would inform the real data that would have real impact in the health and social care sector. At the moment, I have very minimal understanding of the detail, and by this I mean on the shop floor, the impact of digital transformation on the health and social care workforce. Yes, we all know the bigger picture and the impact on systems and service delivery, but I do not have the granular lens to design tailored to need bespoke training with the current data that's available to me. As education providers, we also struggle with outdated occupational standards and skills frameworks, especially in the UK and Scotland for us, which haven't been updated for at least 15 years, with just a current update just released last month. And these are crucial to inform the education and training needs for health and care professionals. And finally, we struggle with some organisations, as Sanna has touched upon, moving forward, as some health and care professionals and organisations are still living in the analogue world and not being able to deliver future training needs and resources. And just moving on quickly to the skills shortage gap, we do suffer a lack of clear job role mapping and no real grasp of job roles or needs for future workforce planning. And there's a lower demand for formal education pathways because they take too long and they develop and also take too long for people to upskill. So we need an agile, responsive approach to meet the demand, but also the freedom in higher education institutions to break the traditional academic curriculum delivery, to be able to think creatively and in a more agile way to meet workforce needs quickly without losing quality. And the rate of learning really needs to be greater than the speed of change. And that's what's happening right now, is digital transformation is changing so fast. And that means that we are struggling to keep up with the demand for training needs. And so finally, we have obviously poorly defined career pathways, and this leads me nicely into our work at the University of Edinburgh. My current role, we have made a start at least in shaping the talent pipeline and developed a framework to build out data digital expertise and create a pipeline of digital transformation. And I won't go into this much detail because we don't have much time, but the talent pipeline engages across schools, colleges, universities, the NHS, public, private and third sector and industry. And at different stages of working in data or digital innovation, we provide education in different modes to ensure upskilling. And we do this in many forms, through bite-sized learning, micro-credentials, CPD courses, undergraduate and postgraduate education and training, and through our PhD, MSc in executive education. I was going to finish on a note for the future, but I may talk about that in the Q&A. Thanks.
Thank you, Lenny. And indeed, I would like to bring in a different perspective because we heard from very concrete programs in Scotland. And my perspective would be as a broader, more European, since we represent a European association of health management. But I still heard and noted some similarities, which I would like to point out as I go through my presentation. So I will start by a policy context of why or how data could guide the development of digital skills, workforce recruitment, retention, and resilience. You can see here 5 points, and certainly the list of the policy context could be and should be longer than that, but I'm just trying to be brief here. These 5 points are enabled and evidenced by different work streams that EHMA, the European Association of Health Management, is involved in around skills. EHMA's mission is excellent health management for a healthy Europe, and we believe that excellence can only come and can only be achieved by people, because you can have excellent technology, excellent equipment, but by themselves they will never deliver excellence. You will need excellent professionals who can operate these equipment and these technologies. Therefore, EHMA is highly committed to investigating health workforce challenges, and not only challenges, so we don't get stuck at challenges level, but we are also working on proposing and developing solutions. So after the policy context, I will move on to present 2 EU-funded projects. And one another source that also feeds into this policy framework is the fact that EHMA is co-chairing and co-moderating a European health policy platform stakeholder network on profiling and training the health workforce of the future, that just launched a report on essential skills for an effective and resilient European health workforce. And here I'm just asking the ECH colleagues if they could put in the chat the link where the report and the infographic can be downloaded. So after this introduction about what EHMA is doing around skills, I would like to go through the policy context, 5 key points. Since we are talking about data, but do we have enough data and up-to-date data? We find that there is a need for data, not anecdotal data, which is available, but large-scale comprehensive data collection and analysis on health workforce availability, density, and needs, both at the member state and regional level, because this is important for planning and strategy making. The state of health in the EU companion report featured actually a figure showing that there is no pattern in Europe in terms of doctors, nurses availability, and actually that makes planning and strategy making difficult in Europe. And there is another factor which you can see in the third point, that there are different cultures. So after having data, this data should be quickly available. So there are certain types of data which are available quickly, like mortality, but certain types of data like health status, you have to wait for it for 2 years. And actually, if I noted correctly, Michelle said that data has not been updated for 15 years, right? So indeed, we would need fresh data, so up-to-date data. Then the third point is that strategy and planning development does not happen at a universal speed in Europe, because countries' maturity and approach to plans are different. So they follow different legal frameworks, practices, etc. It's not only when we are talking about upskilling and reskilling of health workforce, we cannot be too biased, because we have to take into account a broader context, that there is health workforce shortage that we face, that it's not only our population, but also the health workforce, the professionals who are aging. WHO published a quite powerful report on that, and published also 10 policy actions on that. So we also need strategies to address workforce shortages, recruitment and retention. So we can, without that, we cannot impose upskilling and reskilling projects or demands on a shrinking number of professionals who are on top of that also exhausted, because we are just coming out of COVID, if we are coming out of COVID.
Anett, we have a minute, so if you can move on quickly, please.
Yes, and we have, so at European level, we have the European Skills Agenda 2020 that tries to address these skills gaps and mismatches that we also heard from Sanna, and different initiatives that they have, the Pact for Skills alliances, ensuring the workforce right skills in the jobs, support lifelong learning pathways and investment. The two projects that I would like to quickly talk about, one is Blueprint, Alliance for Future Health Workforce Strategy on Digital and Green Skills. This is called Be Well. I would like to ask the ECH colleagues to post the link in the chat. What this project will do, it will develop the first ever reskilling and upskilling strategy for the sector, and it will launch a health ecosystem partnership for skills within the Pact for Skills initiative. And within or besides that, we will also gather skills intelligence and create a skills monitoring tool to anticipate skill needs and challenges, and also map emerging occupations and their skills needs. And last but not least of all, we will develop educational curricula and programs, which will be actually an engagement opportunity with us, because these programs will be open, accessible and free of charge for students and professionals on the job. And the second project that I would like to talk about is Uveka. Both projects, by the way, have been financed from the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. Uveka is different in nature from Be Well, because it will create regional partnerships around vocational training, and will aim to make vocational training and education and lifelong learning more attractive and more popular. And it will help healthcare professionals to embark on digital transformation and cope with the changes due to the adoption of digitized processes and digital technologies. We will set up 7 European hubs, regional vocational excellence hubs in 7 European regions, who will be, or that will be bound by a sustainable European platform, which will be sustained for after the project, and it will also ensure the provision of future-oriented skills, not only digital skills, but related innovation skills, problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, communication skills, etc. And with
okay,
that,
Anett,
I have finished.
Yeah, thank you. So very quickly, because we're running out of time, Michelle, there's a couple of questions to you, so I'm going to try and combine them. One was, they were just wondering how you attract new staff from other industries into health and care. And then there's another one talking about strategic decisions and saying, could you share your experience on our international readers of the International Journal of Health Governance, Emerald Publishing? Hopefully that means something to you.
Thanks, Blair. Then to answer the first question around attracting talent, I think it's really important to build an interdisciplinary approach to our digital transformation curriculum and data science and data-driven innovation opportunities. And also the advantages of that peer-to-peer learning then in that setting with the open access learning really does change career kind of pathways for people. So people who are engaged in our MSc programs, for example, they come in, you know, with a very clear mindset of their career pathway, but having been open to some of our content and, you know, content around digital transformation and data-driven approaches, they really are thinking about upskilling in a totally different direction. So I think that the pipeline is there to be used in a flexible and agile way and a more creative way. I think we've been stuck in, you know, the traditional model of teaching for a while, and I think now we need to, you know, think more creatively basically about our frameworks and how we can engage with the wider health and social care professionals to make them realise that there's benefits and, you know, in working in this arena.
Okay, thank you.
The second question around the strategic drivers, they're mainly driven by the city region deal for my work specifically. And we have specific metrics and KPIs obviously to report to, but we are very much in line with the policy drivers in Scotland, especially around the recent digital health and care strategy, for example. I'm not sure what the second part of the question was alluding to, but in the journal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna steal 1 or 2 minutes from the next break just to be able to ask a final quick question for the three of you, which is the relative priority between recruitment, retention, and resilience, or whether they are all of equal merit. So very quickly, Sanna, what do you think of that?
A relative difference between these, the important.
What the priority? Yeah, the importance.
In terms of the entirety of the workforce, it's a very hard call, isn't it? Given if you think about there is a tired and aging workforce, maybe recruitment should be in the forefront, probably followed by retention. And I was going to actually, if I may, just comment on the earlier question about how you would engage more people into these sectors. So given that the nature of work is changing so much, I think the raising awareness of these new job opportunities and new job roles as part of health and care, like the digital roles in health and care, would be really important in attracting new kinds of talent from other sectors.
Yeah. Anett?
I agree with Sanna. So I already expressed our view to it that indeed retention and recruitment would be really important. First of all, but of course resilience cannot be behind by miles. And indeed, by reskilling and upskilling, offering these opportunities, it can make also the sector attractive, because it can say to young people and or older people as well that, look, this is somewhere where you can learn new skills, you can shift career paths. So it can be a kind of opportunity for us.
Thank you. And the last word, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm going to go different. So just because of the talent pipeline and the way that we've developed our programme, we have to ensure that there's recruitment there and there's interest and need. We can work on the retention, obviously, as we do that. Resilience is there for everyone, right? We all have to be resilient these days. So I think that's by the by, but yeah, in that order for me.
Okay, thank you all very much. Really appreciate your time and your insight. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bladen, for this session, and thank you, ladies, for giving your important insights on this topic.